Hello, everyone. I want to
Hello.
welcome everyone to today's Fexa Friends Network show. We are right at the top of the hour. People are onboarding to the show right now, so we're going to give everyone just a few more seconds to join us, and then we will get started. I hope everyone is having a good Thursday. It is the first week of December 2023. Everyone is hopefully making holiday plans for both Hanukkah and the Christmas season or other celebrations coming up. And we have a very festive group this morning that doesn't look ridiculous at all. They are bringing the holiday with them, and I know I appreciate that. They look great.
Thanks,
A little Christmas cheer.
Loving it. Loving it. We are nothing if not festive here at the Fexa Friends Network show.
Fexa, festive.
We are Fexa festive. I love that.
Festa, Fexa, and Friends. The 3 Fs.
Okay. People are still joining. We're going to go ahead and get started. Again, I want to welcome everyone to today's Fexa Friends Network show. I want to thank you for joining us and sharing a little bit of your day with us. I know everyone is busy, but of course, we hope that you are able to take away something from this and every Fexa Network show that you're able to use, or at least expand your knowledge base in your professional life. I'm Diana Hart, the host of the Fexa Friends Network. The purpose of the Fexa Network is to be a place to offer education, best practices, and trend opinions to the multi-site facilities and service provider communities. If you have a topic that you would like to see on a future Fexa Network show, or if you would like to be a guest educator yourself, please drop me a line at fexafriendsnetwork@fexa.io. We hope you continue to support this growing effort to educate and uplevel the facilities management community by showing up and engaging with our topics. A quick note about Fexa, this program's primary sponsor. For those of you who don't know Fexa, we create smart, flexible, and easy-to-use facility management software for multi-site companies. Fexa transforms business processes into automations and workflows that find efficiencies that save time and resources. Fexa's data-driven asset management programs help companies track, analyze, and optimize repair or replace decisions. We also help companies track their refrigerant emissions for regulatory compliance and ESG reporting purposes. For more information about Fexa and to request a demo, hop on over to fexa.io. I also want to let everyone to know that even though your mic is muted, this show is interactive. And if you have a question for my guest educators today, please type your question into the Q&A window at any time during our conversation. We will get to as many questions as we have time for. If you have ever wanted to ask an expert about facility landscaping, today is your lucky day. So don't hold back, because if it's on your mind, chances are great that other people are thinking about it too. And now we're going to turn to today's topic, how to make an impactful first impression with your landscaping. Landscaping is the first impression a customer experiences, but it's often neglected in budget and priority, potentially damaging your brand. Whether you have a handful of properties to manage or oversee an entire region, there are core components to consider to streamline the process, create efficiencies, and identify cost-saving opportunities. And this is exactly what we're going to get into today by listening to what the experts have to say. And with that in mind, I want to welcome my guest educators, Teresa Phelps and Tom Snyder from Chain Store Maintenance. Teresa has more than 30 years of sales and managerial experience, having worked in some of the largest brands in the retail facility management industry, and she has spoken at numerous conferences across the country. Tom has worked at the largest landscaping company in the country, where he's earned the President's Award in recognition of his achievements. I want to welcome to the show Teresa and Tom, and we're excited to hear all about this topic.
Thank you, Diana. We're so glad to be here. Thank you for inviting us. I'm Teresa
Absolutely.
Phelps. I'm the Vice President of Business Development for Chain Store Maintenance, an MCS company. I joined the company at the beginning of this year, 2023, but I've been in the business for over 30 years. As Diana mentioned, I've worked with many of the largest brands in retail, restaurant, and commercial facility management. I've spoken at numerous conferences across the country. I've been actively involved in both Connects and RIFMA for many, many years. I enjoyed networking, the professional development opportunities, and of course, making new friends.
Yeah, and thanks, Diana, again for having both of us. Tom Snyder, I'm also with Chain Store Maintenance, an MCS company. Like Teresa, I'm also a vice president of business development, and I work with new clients to develop and implement multi-site facility maintenance programs for their properties. I joined the company about 2 years ago, 2 years, the end of this month. And like you said, prior to this, I was working for the country's largest commercial landscaping and snow removal provider.
Okay, so before we dive into today's topic, tell the audience a little bit more about Chain Store Maintenance, if you will, very quickly.
Yeah, I can take that. So Chain Stores have been providing facility maintenance and repair services, primarily on the interior trades like handyman services, electrical, locksmith, and plumbing, or what we call our help menu, for all kinds of retailers. So restaurants, convenience stores, lodging, financial service companies, and other multi-unit clients for over 30 plus years. We work with hundreds of businesses, including Starbucks, Staples, Circle K, Petco, Hertz, just to rattle off a few off the top of my head.
All great companies, Ken. All great companies.
Yeah.
It's interesting this year, just in February, when I started, Chain Store was acquired by MCS. That's where Tom and I both started, was through MCS. MCS, we primarily focused on exterior services, landscaping, snow removal, and parking lot maintenance. And now that our two companies have joined, we're combined, and we offer a full suite of interior, exterior services for the commercial property. So our clients now have one resource, for all their property maintenance and repair needs.
Great. Well, thank you for that background. We really appreciate it. We've got your bona fides, and I think we're ready to dive into today's topic. So let's talk about landscaping and making sure that properties really do look the best that they can. Can you walk us through a high-level time frame for a successful landscaping program?
Well, Diana, your timing on this couldn't be better, really. Joining you here today, it's just perfect, because for seasonal programs, starting the RFP process in December puts you in a really good position to select your provider, finalize the contract, so you can kick that program off in March and April when spring arrives. And then, of course, anyone in the warmer weather climates, you all should be wrapping up your contracts right now for that January 1st start date.
Yeah, exactly, Teresa. And I think timing does really absolutely depend on your climate. But for seasonal regions, their landscaping programs typically run March through October, perhaps November, before they transition to a snow removal program. Warmer climates, they certainly have their programs run year round. So if you're managing a lot of properties across the country, you're going to have various start and end dates throughout your portfolio. Regardless, if your contract runs through the fall or the end of the year, you'll also want to make sure that you schedule a wrap-up call with your providers to review what worked in that past season, maybe what you want to shift or change, and then you're that much further ahead for next year. So yeah, be thinking forwardly about those types of things.
Right. Okay, makes sense. Okay, so you mentioned RFPs. Those RFPs, of course, as everyone is very well aware, take a lot of effort and work from all parties involved, as I'm sure everyone on the show today is very well aware of. They take a lot of preparation, and the vendors spend a lot of time ensuring that they provide comprehensive responses. It can take days or weeks even to fill RFPs out comprehensively. Do you have any suggestions for the folks in our audiences today for the RFP process and how to make that go smoother and to make sure
A few
everyone gets
that
what
we
they
have
need?
would be, certainly when you think about an RFP, it's an important part of the overall process, and it really dictates the entirety of the program. I think perhaps the most important thing to remember when building your RFP is the more detailed your scope is, the better your end result. So a detailed scope really allows potential commercial landscape partners to better understand your needs and provide comprehensive and thorough responses. I'd also be sure to be thinking about any enhancements that you're doing or that you'd like to include. Stuff like planting shrubs, trees, or seasonal color, mulch, or fertilization, as not all vendors are always going to provide those as part of their standard service. So I think you need to be clear in the RFP whether you're including those in the RFP or if those are going to be out of scope terms. One other item is to make sure that you have alignment on that scope. So you want to make sure that from corporate headquarters to the site or even regional teams, that organization, your organization, has alignment. So we're not comparing apples and oranges.
Spot on, Tom, spot on. In addition to that comprehensive scope of requested services, a few other key items I would suggest. A complete site list, a clean list of the properties that you're responsible for. Site maps, super important. Let us know what you're responsible for. Addresses, correct addresses of your properties. This helps us locate and then fully understand your portfolio. Also, do you have different banners out there? We need to know that. If they're not all the same store sign, we want to be sure we have all of the right properties included for you. Your service level agreements, or SLAs as we call them. These outline the service expectation. All of these key items help us to provide accurate pricing, determine the type of equipment, the proper licensing, certifications, as well as the size of the teams needed to render all the services that you're bringing them under contract for. And then I guess the last item I would say would be a detailed budget. This helps us determine how best to service your properties. You may also want to consider a multi-year contract. Many suppliers will provide incentives for longer term agreements.
Yeah, and I would add just one thing to that, Teresa. Again, to hit the point, start early. This can become a very time-consuming process, and you want to make sure that you have ample time to not only prepare the RFP, but gather the responses, conduct interviews, and then make your final decision. It's an important business relationship, and you don't want to be rushed to make that final decision.
Okay, so we know that the RFP responses should contain most of the information that a facility manager would have or would need to make a final decision. But what are other considerations that they need to keep in mind to select the right provider for them?
Well, it's definitely important to make sure that you have your bases covered when choosing your landscape partner. Pricing obviously is always going to be a driving factor in the decision-making process, but there are a few other things that we would recommend. Ask for references. Good companies have existing clients who will endorse them, and they shouldn't be afraid or embarrassed to share those. Look at their work samples. If you're able to, even take a site walk and see one of their properties that are being maintained. As they say, seeing is truly believing. So, having eyes on that property could really inform you as well. But make sure that you're aware that their scope could be very different than what you're planning to do in your RFP. And then I think the last thing I would mention, Diana, is just understand their service model. Do they self-perform the work? Are they subcontracting the work out? Or do they use a combination or a hybrid model of the two? As far as we're concerned, there isn't really a difference or a right answer, but you want to feel comfortable with the vendor's approach to the service delivery and the transparency that that service model provides you.
Good points. Good points, Tom. You know, I think there's probably maybe one or two more things we could add to that list. Technology. Does their platform seamlessly integrate with your systems? Does it capture all the information you need? Secondly, how about quality control? What's their process? What kind of reports are you going to get? Do you have before and after photos? How are their service providers monitored? These are all super important.
Agreed.
So, okay, so let's say you've got your RFP in place, the facility manager does, and they've selected the right service provider for them after going through these processes of audit and vetting. What are some of the seasonal items that should be considered and addressed in every case for the operator in this case?
Well, I think we should start with spring, Tom.
It's right around the corner.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, while it's December and many states are getting snow today, you know, you need to be thinking about this, and you need to be thinking about spring. Your landscaping partners should be inspecting your properties. They should be checking to make sure that everything has survived that horrible cold winter. Check the plants, check the trees, see if there's any freeze damage out there. Get those steps in place to get them back up into top condition. Other spring tasks that I would suggest: cut back those perennials, encourages your spring growth. Be sure to apply a pre-emergent to protect your turf from weeds. Refreshing your flower beds, mulching your flower beds, aerate your grass. And one of the most important items in spring is making sure your irrigation system is in good condition. And if there isn't any repairs needed, great. But if there's irrigation leaks, it's going to be very tough. 1 on your landscaping, 2 on your wallet, and 3 on the environment for moisted water.
Yeah, and as spring winds down, you want to get any planting done so plants have time to take root before the summer heat arrives. We know how hard and harsh that heat can be to your turf and your plants. Other landscaping items I think would include turning over your mulch. So if you're not including mulch in your scope, a good cost-saving technique is just re-rake it, refresh the pile. It'll give it a refreshed look. And then, of course, fertilizing your turf, like Teresa said. I would also recommend letting your grass grow a little bit longer during the summer months, because that helps the turf maintain moisture and decrease the odds that it'll dry out during the hot summer.
Yes, grass likes to grow, just like my hair. Right, Tom?
I have no idea what you're talking about, Teresa. I'm bald.
Not today, Tom.
Thank you for bringing that up, though, Teresa.
You're welcome. Many people think that you can pay less attention to your landscaping in the fall and winter as well. But this is actually a very critical time to help landscaping thrive again come spring. When it comes to turf, we recommend aerating, reseeding, fertilizing, as well as raking. Keep those properties clean, your grass healthy.
Yeah, and I think other fall tasks you want to think about are pruning the trees, the perennials, shrubs, and wrapping any of those that might be more sensitive to the cold as it transitions to fall. And as the season winds down, you'll want to do a final mowing, cutting it shorter than normal to prevent matting, and then certainly winterizing your irrigation system by blowing out the sprinkler lines.
Perfect. Perfect. We're getting ready. And it really doesn't have to wait for fall, but it's always a good idea to make sure that your sidewalks, your driveways, your parking lots, all of those hard surface areas are in top shape to do pressure washing. Fill in your cracks, seal coat those surfaces, give them extra protection against severe freezing conditions headed for the winter.
Yeah, and while most of what we've been discussing is seasonal in nature, commercial landscape and warmer clients, they have year-round landscaping needs that will need to be addressed beyond a standard seasonal scope. Some warmer markets may require, for example, overseeding at certain times to keep the turf looking great. And this is going to be typically dependent on the soil temperature, the germination temperatures of the grass seed. So, considering that, it's very important to evaluate your landscaper. A good landscaper will certainly take all of that in consideration when they're helping you build out your program. Cool weather may require flowers and plants to be protected if it gets down to freezing. Even in the warmer desert climates, the temperature really gets cold at night. And then depending on your location, you may want to consider xeriscape options, from rocks to mulch to drought tolerant native plants to even artificial turf. These options might be an additional expense up front, but over time, their low to no maintenance costs can really pay off for you. So be sure your landscaping partner understands the needs of your geography and provides options that make sense to you. And it's generally, a good partner looking for solutions that help your properties and can help impact your wallet.
Yeah, great advice, and makes absolute perfect sense for all of these considerations. So once a facilities manager gets their landscaping programs up and running smoothly, what are some additional considerations to think about or reflect on when a facilities manager has to think about how all of these considerations reflect on the brand image of their properties and their brand, and being welcoming for customers?
2 words: curb appeal. Curb appeal, curb appeal. No matter the season, your landscaping is an aspect of your brand. There's no denying it at all. First impressions for any business are the most important. Well-maintained landscapes will please your customers, your clients from the get-go, and it also conveys a sense of professionalism. If you work with a national or regional landscaping partner, they can help you drive that brand consistency across all of your portfolio, even if specific landscaping needs are different from one property to another. We all know that commercial landscaping properties are not cookie cutter. Tom,
Is there
what would
anything
you add?
else you'd like to add?
Yeah, I'll just jump in with a couple of things. I think we've covered the main points for a successful landscape program, from developing the RFP to selecting a partner to implementing the program overall. A bit of a shameless plug here, sorry, but we've created an ebook that you can access from our website at chainstore.com that goes into additional detail and provides some tips and tricks to help you be successful as you consider and launch your RFP landscape program.
Right, and we're going to be sending a link out to that ebook to everyone who registered for today's webinar. And so for those who want to take a look at that, they'll be able to do that easily when they get my closeout information and email from this particular program. So let's see if there's anything that has come in. Looks like a question came in a little while ago, which I think is a good one to touch on. And that has to do about something about pest control, and whether or not you recommend including something around pest control in the landscaping scope of work or RFP process. What are your comments or thoughts about including pest control, like maybe for fire ants or termites or other things like that? What are your thoughts around that?
I can take that, Teresa. I think for maybe a single location, if that site has particular problems with fire ants or termites, but I think to price it for all locations across the portfolio is really kind of a waste of time and money if you actually never need the service. So I think our recommendation would be to leave that out of scope, but certainly let your provider know that there is an issue, and we can certainly provide a quote to get that taken care of.
Yeah, I agree with you, Tom. Why spend money that isn't necessary? Why
Right.
pay for a service that you may not need? That's just throwing away money.
Yep.
Okay. Great, thank you. Another comment came in around what you see today as being, let's see, the biggest challenge within the landscaping industry. Okay, that's a good question. All industries have special challenges. What are some things that CSM really sees right now as some of their biggest challenges to servicing clients?
Well, I think you're absolutely right. Everybody's seeing challenges, and really retention of qualified, trained employees. You know, not only at the subcontractor level, but just in general. It's very difficult to, get qualified employees right now.
Do you have any idea why that might be the case? Are there market forces that are shaping that? Is it location or regional
Well, I
forces
think
more than anything else?
I
Or
think we can still continue to blame COVID for a lot of it. A lot of smaller companies ended up going out of business. And unfortunately, that wiped out a lot of, the trained, experienced people that you're looking for in the landscaping industry. So consequently, they've either taken on another job or they've gone to work for somewhere else. So the pool has been reduced down. Anything you'd add on to that, Tom?
No, I think you're exactly right. To Diana's comment about regionality, I think certainly that plays into it. Certainly more expensive markets like California are just seeing higher and higher labor rates. So it gets harder and harder to find the right trained, certified provider that's going to take on a site and then still meet those budget constraints that a lot of the clients are looking for.
Yep. Very good points. Very good points.
yeah, that makes sense. We're about to wrap up. It looks like we've got maybe one more question that's come in, and we're going to take that. If there are any other additional questions, please type them into the Q&A window so we don't miss anyone before we wrap up. But a final comment that came in just had to do with RFPs in general, and good ones, bad ones, any additional comments around those? They are a ton of work for everyone involved. Any final thoughts about RFPs would be appreciated because they are so labor intensive.
You're exactly right. They are for everybody on every side of it. You could answer that in a variety of ways, and we could probably sit here for another half hour and talk about it. But as I mentioned earlier, I think laying out a reasonable timeline for both you and the potential vendor is critical. You don't want to rush the process. So again, like we stated throughout this time together, start early. Beyond that, be detailed in your scope, communicate your timeline clearly, and offer regular updates throughout the process. I know one of the things that I am often aware of is I know that the client is putting in a lot of work into preparing the RFP. The vendors put in a lot of work to prepare their responses. And a lot of times, that timeline can go out of whack, understandable, but make sure you're communicating. It's just, I think, common courtesy to make sure that you communicate what the status is of that review because everybody's invested a lot of time into it. So I think communication in that process is very helpful. Also, like Teresa said, provide measurements to all participants. I think this, coupled with a detailed scope, will ensure you're comparing apples to apples. Everybody's working off the same numbers, the same measurements, and it makes your job as in the client easier to come to when you go to review it. If your timeline allows, I would also invite or suggest you invite your vendors that perhaps you've narrowed down into a second round or something to present their case on why they'd be a good partner for you. I think a lot of times you want to get behind the numbers and see who the company is, what the company's mission and values are, how they run their business, and just get a sense of the organization. So I think that's critical to include that as well, if you can. Teresa, I don't know if you have anything you want to add.
No, I think it's very important, working with those vendors. If you're looking at making a change, you want to make sure that the culture is the same and that you have the same values and that your partner fully understands what your needs are and what your service expectations are. You're going to hopefully form a partnership that you can take into for years.
Agreed.
Right. Makes sense. All right. Well, Doesn't look like we have any additional comments that have come in. So I think we are good for today. I want to thank Tom and Teresa so much for being on the Fexa and Friends Network. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, Diana. It was a pleasure. We enjoyed it. Hopefully we shared some good information with everybody out there.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And yeah, thank you, Teresa. And I want to let everyone know that I will be emailing a link to a recording of today's presentation to everyone who has registered today. So don't worry about that. It will take a couple of days to get that information out, including a link to the ebook that Tom referenced earlier. And so that will be coming out shortly. This presentation will be archived on the Fexa and Friends homepage within the Fexa website and will also appear on the Fexa YouTube channel in just a couple of days for future reference. I want to let everyone know that there will be future Fexa and Friends Network shows, so please be on the lookout for invitations to future shows and to continue to hop onto our shows and to engage with us with future topics, because this is an important effort to bring the entire facilities network community together to engage and to help us grow and learn in this educational enterprise. Thank you, everyone, and have a great rest of your day and a good holiday season if we don't see you before then. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Happy holidays.